Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of Press YYZ. Mine, maybe? I don't know. Yours,
and
mine, ours, sure. Favorite Canadian gaming podcast. You can watch the show live on twitch.tv/PressYYZ every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, or listen to it on your own time on podcast services like iTunes, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, all that fun stuff. We appreciate however you choose to support the show, including subscribing to us on Twitch using that free sub that comes with Amazon Prime. But if you don't have any money to toss our way, not a big deal. We'll be here. At least I will be. I can tell you Nathan won't, but Alex Ballant will be.
Guys, my dreams have officially been powered.
Hell yeah. Whew. Behind the ones and twos, we got Alexander Kozina.
Hey, I'm looking awfully blue today. I don't know what is going on with my camera's white balance. I'll be able to fix it in due time.
And rounding us out tonight, we've got Mr. Mitch George. How are you?
Next gen is here, baby!
It's here enough for any of you guys.
Let's go!
Yeah.
I have some next gen. I got some next gen.
Yeah, me too. We'll get there in just a sec, but I need to mention that today in Canada, it is Remembrance Day. So a special shout out and thank you to all of our veterans and the like for their sacrifice and whatnot today. Today is for them. We love you all.
Very much so.
Lest we forget.
Yes.
This is a weird Remembrance Day to celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say it's been a week. That's for sure. A roller coaster of emotions.
Year. You kidding me?
Yeah. Fun fact: today is also Skyrim's 9th birthday.
Happy birthday, Skyrim! I can't wait to play you on the 12th console that you've been released on.
I should probably play that game at some point.
Alex, I need you to put in the 360 version of Skyrim into the Series X and see what happens.
That's the way Todd intended it, actually.
Absolutely, yeah. And then other thing I have to mention here is I believe Cozy, you made a Apex Legend club for us.
Yes, that is correct. I did. I made a club in Apex Legends that we can all join. The name of the club is simply Press YYZ. You will have to be accepted in once you ask to be part of it, but make no mistake, I'll be logging into Apex Legends on a pretty consistent basis, so I'll be sure to let you in as soon as possible. Please do so. As we previously have been discussing on and off air, I am continuing to play Apex Legends on a pretty consistent basis. I know you, Mitch, want to do some sessions in the future in which I'll be kind of teaching you the ropes of how to play this delightful Battle Royale game. So if any of you want to join in on that.
This kind of came up out of watching Cozy's Extra Life stream. I think you had 2 time slots where you were playing Apex, and I was just watching you play like, I don't know what's happening. You're flying through and like sliding through stuff and picking up all these items and all these things, and I don't know how it works.
Have you never played Apex before?
I've played it, but I've only ever played it solo, like
with randos.
Yeah, so it's like I think it'd be better if it was within this community or within wider community circles that we're a part of. So happy to be ferried to my first Apex win.
Yeah, that's kind of why I fell off of Warzone when that came out, is because, I had a lot of fun playing with you guys, but then we just didn't play again. So it's just one of those things that we did
play Warzone when that came out. My God.
Yeah, at the start of the year. It's been a year.
Yeah. That's kind of the case with all battle royales for me, is I try them when they first come out, and then I'm like, I'm not invested in this even slightly. And then I stopped playing them very, very quickly.
Yeah. The one that I
sorry, I just want to say, Alex, would you consider doing an Apex Battle Royale, let's teach you how to play session?
I'll try it. I mean,
is a good Press YYZ stream.
Is it crossplay yet?
Yes, it is. It's been crossplay beta for the past couple of weeks.
Then I might play it on my brand new Xbox Series X then.
What is that? I don't understand.
That sounded like a girthy pickup.
Yeah. This thing. Okay. So, as anybody
What's
watching,
the story of the journey of your Xbox to you?
Because I have a very interesting story with this. For those who are listening at home, I am holding my Xbox Series X, and so from the beginning, when it came to this, back in September when the pre-orders went live, I was trying very hard because Xbox, unlike PlayStation, actually told people when the pre-orders were going to go live, and so people could prepare for it. And because of that, pre-orders were really hard to secure because every website went down almost immediately, except for I managed to find one on Amazon. Perfect, great. I secured that instantly, and I was like, all right, got my Xbox ready to go. Then this week, Amazon, Jeff Bezos himself, was like, oh, you know how this was supposed to come out on November 10th? Yeah, actually, you're going to get it either on the 13th or the 17th. We don't know which one, though, because it gave me 2 dates on Amazon. So I started to panic because I'm like, I want to get this as soon as possible. And so on November 10th, when the Xbox Series X was released, Best Buy got a whole new slew of inventory, and I thought, it says that that's going to come on the 12th when the PlayStation 5 comes out. Okay, that's at least 1 day sooner than Amazon is saying. I'm going to buy it and then just return the one Amazon sent me. Then Amazon that very day, literal hours later, was like, oh, just kidding, it's actually going to arrive tomorrow. So I have 2 Xbox Series X's. One hasn't arrived yet, but
the moral of the story is don't listen to Mitch when he suggests doing something stupid on launch day of the system.
remember when I said I was going to buy a third one as well?
You almost put in an order. Was it
on Amazon?
No, that's right. It was Amazon put up another set of stock that also said it was going to be delivered on the 12th. Yeah, before
my thing got updated, saying that it was going to arrive today, the 11th. Amazon posted their new allotment of Series X's that they had, and it was saying, order it now and it arrives by tomorrow. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is the one that I pre-ordered months ago saying that it's going to come later than the one that that are up for sale right now? I was really angry yesterday.
So I was in the exact same situation where I pre-ordered a piece of next-gen tech that should have been released the day that the Xbox Series X and Series S did release. And then I go to Amazon and they have that same item in stock for next day delivery. So I'm like, do I place an order? Do I not place an order? So I placed the order and immediately got the shipping notice from the first one that would be here at the same time. So I canceled the Amazon one, and we're all running next gen now, baby. Look at that.
Let's all
look at this.
Roblox Xbox. I got the matte. I got the black one that comes with.
I feel very left out right now.
We have.
Listen, I went to Shoppers yesterday and picked one up, and I was nearly the inspiration for Alex running out to Shoppers to buy an Xbox, but they won't let you do that. You actually have to pre-order it. Yeah. So
you were really playing with my emotions yesterday.
I was. Hey, listen, I ripped the Band-Aid off real quick.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I almost left to go to Shoppers to see if I could buy a Series X there, just because I wanted one so badly.
Oh, Mitch, look at that.
That looks.
So this is my first time seeing the Series controller in person, and I gotta say,
it feels wonderful. I love the matte
texture
finish.
On the back.
The matte finish is fantastic.
Like that does not come across in photos, and I don't think it'll come across here. But if I get in real close, you might. Texture on this controller is, oh man, I really
I like the D-pad.
Like
the D-pad. Yeah, the D-pad is very nice.
Actually, I have one question.
The grip on the triggers too.
Up on the D-pad versus say down or any other direction on the D-pad. What does that feel like for you? Because mine feels a little different.
More the same for me.
Feels like it doesn't have as much.
I cannot. So. There's a story behind it.
It doesn't have enough. It doesn't have as much play pressing up for me.
Yeah.
So I had another Xbox One controller that I borrowed from a coworker that I was using to play PC games, and he asked for it back on Monday, and AC Valhalla released on Tuesday. So I've been sitting here saying, do I try it with the DualShock and then switch to the Xbox controller, but I'm glad I waited because I'm going to play through AC Valhalla with this thing, and it is a thing of beauty. Like, Carmen, can you hear me? Come see this controller. It's very cute.
Before we transition off of the Series X.
By the way,
mm-hmm.
I just want to mention that I was able to, all of you know this, but I was able to secure my Xbox One pre-order via Walmart thanks to some very, very, very quick control F5ing on my part. So that's coming, but it's coming like from a week from now. So
great.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's not nearly as interesting of a story as any of yours, but I had to insert a story.
It's still exciting that you get to be within the release window for this new console.
I hope Walmart doesn't let you down, as they appear to be letting down numerous. So for those unaware, we record this on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. at twitch.tv/PressYYZ. So we are in that sweet spot where we are between two console launches, and at least in Canada, sorry, I'm struggling getting batteries open. Oh, there it is. At least in Canada, the only retailers that seem to have their shit together are Best Buy and EB Games, which is
still up in the air with
brand in Canada.
So.
And Best Buy is still up in the air, but at least we have shipping.
That is true.
We have things in motion, whereas Walmart and Amazon have both had to send out notices saying, hey, we might not have enough consoles to fulfill pre-orders, so you might not get it for a while.
Yeah.
And that sucks for anyone who was expecting it from Amazon or Walmart.
Yeah. Before we go completely off of next gen, I do want to just have a quick couple of thoughts about the Series X. Though I haven't really played, I don't have too much playtime on it specifically. For one, the packaging for it. I'm sure all of you have watched the various numbers of unboxing videos, especially from like friends of the show like MC Fixer or Steve Saylor. Both of them have very wonderful videos about them unboxing their Series X's. But one of the things that those videos really do not showcase is how fucking weighty this thing is. Like, this thing is hefty as hell. Like, I feel like I could genuinely like work out with this thing. Like, it is very heavy, and I am concerned to put this on the shelf that I have specifically installed for my next gen console because it is.
I told you were going to have an
heavy.
issue.
I did not think that it would be like that, but oh my goodness, this thing is very heavy, and I can only imagine what it'll be like with the PS5. The menus,
I will let the record show as well. We saw how beautifully Microsoft did the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. I still can't remember what they call the damn consoles. Even the presentation for the controllers in box is very nice. Got Xbox embossed on the
Xbox controllers have been there. The Xbox controllers have been really good, even throughout the whole previous generation. It's all been really good.
Game Pass Ultimate. That's nice.
Yeah, like I have the Elite controller and I have a Design Lab controller, and both of those came in wonderful. Like, Microsoft does not get enough credit for the amount of effort that they put into their merchandise that they have for Xbox. I own a various number of Xbox clothing, and it is really high quality clothing. Yeah. Like, I just feel like Microsoft does not get enough credit for the amount of effort that they put into it. And, just good job, Microsoft.
Do you guys still have your console boxes and whatnots from the previous generation?
Yes, I still have my PlayStation 4 and Switch box.
I try to keep them as long as possible.
Yeah, I have my PS4 box and my Switch box. My launch PS4, I sold that to a coworker so I financed my PS4 Pro by selling my launch PS4 with some games I was never going to play, like older NHL and MLB, whatever, as well as leveraging the PC Optimum program here in Canada. So they have events once in a while where you can redeem points, and when you redeem them, they're worth more than the base value. So I think I redeemed like $200 in points to get $300 off the box, which was great. And I'm hoping that maybe down the line that same scenario might happen with an Xbox, might not, or Switch Pro or whatever happens. But that was a good, efficient use of those points.
Yes. I cannot wait to talk more about the Series X as I get a little bit of playtime with it this weekend.
Absolutely.
Alex, there was something in the doc that I think I missed. Maybe I looked away. It says I'm a lick it.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
Why?
Because blame TJ, that motherfucker. All right, get your clipping ready for Twitch.
Oh boy.
That wasn't as
NSFW
sensual as TJ's, but
I know,
accept it.
but yeah, but look at that. Look
I mean,
at that.
oh, no,
Look at
Orban
that.
missed it. She's
no.
got to come see. Come back.
okay,
Come back.
of course,
okay.
of course.
Yeah, now
round
look at it
two,
again.
round
Another
two.
one.
Yeah, okay.
Round 2. Okay.
All right, I'll really channel the sensualness.
Okay. There it is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Oh.
All right,
Mhm.
clip it.
I
Clip
love
it.
the way that your tongue
Thank
did
you,
the
Adam.
little thing at the end. That was really good.
we will be sure to never share that with the world.
No, clip it and send it to Phil
Yeah,
Spencer.
we definitely won't stream it to a website at a moment in time where YouTube is now
Send it
no
to-
longer active, so everybody is currently crowding on Twitch to see what the Twitch streamers are up to.
Phil,
Yeah.
this is what-
Upload the show to Pornhub. That's the way to do it.
all right, now subscribe to my OnlyFans. That will be the
Yeah.
only piece of content on it.
Yep,
It'll
and
just be
give
you
him
sitting
lots of
nude
money.
behind an Xbox.
Absolutely.
I'll use all my film school techniques to really just make the best OnlyFans I can.
Ooh.
Anyway, moving on.
All right.
Cozy, you did something pretty fun on the weekend. What was that?
Yes, that's right. I took part in Extra Life 2019, and yeah, I just streamed up a freaking storm. For 12 hours and 17 minutes, I streamed all sorts of games, Apex Legends, surprise, surprise, Super Mario Bros. 35, and some, pretty cool live-action excursions, including building a Pokemon Mega Construct set, and also making some homemade pizza from my kitchen live. People who have been listening to the show for a while now will know that I have been determined to do a cooking stream in some capacity for a little while, and basically Extra Life was sort of like the perfect excuse for me to do it. And it's definitely something I'm going to do again because I had a lot of fun with it. And, I think that there are things that went really, really well with it. There are also some things that, looking back on it, I think could have definitely been improved. For example, right now, you can see on stream, I have a bird's eye view of my countertop. I knew that the quality of the webcam filming my countertop was not going to be of the greatest, but it definitely was a little bit less than satisfactory. So that's definitely something that I'm going to improve for next time. Other than that, though, again, I think it just went really, really well all around, both in terms of the cooking section of the stream and the rest of the stream. And I want to thank everybody again who is currently listening or watching a stream live for contributing to my Extra Life Fund if you did so.
Yeah, I know. I was in there watching a bunch of it and participating. Actually, we played a bunch of Fall Guys together. I know AJ, you were in there for a while, and it was a good time. I hope next year, or even later this year, we could do something Extra Life related for the podcast, because I think that'd be really, really good.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. All right, Alex, back to you. Watch Dogs isn't very good. Is that what am I reading that correctly?
Yeah. So over the last week, I've really been I'm not gonna start any new games because next gen's right around the corner. Going to be getting Miles Morales. Going to be getting Demon Souls. Going to be getting Call of Duty. Going to be getting Assassin's Creed. I don't want to start anything new other than Watch Dogs, which I've already started. So I'm just going to power through it as much as I can. And the more I've been playing it, especially now that I feel like I've got the definitive team, I'm not really going through and recruiting any more people. I'm really just kind of pushing through the story. It's really shallow. The story is not very engaging, kind of at all. I really am having a hard time connecting with anything that's going on. And I just think that I do think that this game is genuinely really jeopardized by the fact that I was playing it on PS4. The loading screens, because the city, London, isn't really engaging to be in. I'm not really wanting to explore it. I just want to fast travel from location to location. And because of that, I have 30 to 45 second loading screens every time I need to fast travel to the next location. And it just...
You're getting a little choked up over it.
Yeah. I was really disappointed. Because I was really looking forward to it. And I was having a lot of fun with it when I first started playing it. Because I really do think the play anyone mechanics and systems are so strong, the rest of the game around it is very, very weak. which is kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, this is one I put maybe a couple of hours in, the day or two after it launched. I don't remember when exactly. And I ran into some of the same technical things that you ran into. Of the loads are kind of ridiculous. The game doesn't feel as alive as I felt the previous game did, because I did pop into Watch Dogs 2, which I haven't played, that I got for free on Uplay as part of the Ubisoft presentation thingies they did a couple months ago. And it didn't pop the way that the second one did. Yeah. And I've got my fingers crossed that as soon as I download that thing, hopefully tomorrow on my PlayStation 5, that it's a totally different game. Because I feel like this is another game released on the cusp of next gen that doesn't feel quite right on the older machines. Avengers, I think, is guilty of that. It looks like Valhalla may have suffered the same. NBA 2K, at least friend of the show, TJ, did get his Xbox on launch day and has been telling us some of the things he's been playing through, and it does seem like there were a lot of games. I cannot wait to boot Avengers on the PS5. I know it's still lacking content. I know they still got to bring more to it, but I have faith this game might work.
Yeah, I don't know. I really am kind of disappointed by Legion. I think, I think it'll be better on PS5 because of it being able to load a lot faster. But I'm gonna stick through it. I'm gonna finish it. But I don't know. Yeah. I was kind of really hoping for more with it, and I think so much of the issue of it comes from the fact that it feels like it's really lacking. I think the reason why Watch Dogs 2 was so successful as it was is because it's oozing with personality. Marcus is awesome. Everyone in his version of DedSec is fantastic, and they're all memorable to at least like personality wise. Like I might not remember the dude's name, but the guy who had like the mask and he had like the expression like LEDs, like that dude was really cool. And so, but because of the whole non-centralized character, the only character in Legion that is at all memorable is the automated AI voice that you hear that guides you through it. He's the only character who is actually like interesting, and everyone else, because they're all randomly generated, are just kind of who cares about them.
That makes me wonder, like, do you think that part of the reason why they took this approach with Watch Dogs Legion was specifically because people complained about some of the characters in the previous few games? Because the character that you just brought up, Alex, with the crazy LED glasses, I specifically remember people complaining about him being a little bit too much. And now I wonder if it is like, oh man, we went a little bit too hard in the opposite direction to compensate.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Watch Dogs has never really been a franchise that has memorable characters. Like Aiden Pierce, was his last name Pierce?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, remember when they tried to sell the collector's edition with his iconic hat? Like
also him coming as DLC, right?
Yeah, it's like that's the character from Watch Dogs that I like, the Watch Dogs franchise that I wanted to have come in this game. Like, I don't know. I feel like the non-centralized main character is very much an issue, and I just wish that there were more character. Like, regardless if people complained about the guy from Watch Dogs 2, like that we were just talking about, he at least was memorable. He at least had a personality, where because all of these characters are procedurally generated, they kind of, by definition, will not have as much of a personality because they're not specifically written. They are an amalgamation of small written pieces that then make a character. And that's never going to be as in-depth as a fully fleshed out character.
Yeah, I think we've said this multiple times. I think technically what they've done with Watch Dogs Legion is beyond anything we've ever seen in a game like this before. But at the same time, that technical achievement does take away a bit from the narrative design of the whole experience.
Yeah, I really hope that this system, gets used again. I really hope that they don't just think, oh, Watch Dogs Legion was a failure because people didn't really like it, and just throw it away, because I think that this is so like technically impressive that if you put it in a and this obviously takes a lot of work, and Watch Dogs Legion took a lot of work to make. This game was in development for 5 years or something. Like, it was a very long time. At least, yeah, it was a very, very long time. And so I understand that it's not easy to just say, oh, we'll just take this and then put it in a good game. but also like, can you take that system and put it in a good game? Is kind of what I was hoping. Is kind of what I'm hoping for that they do next. I really just hope that they don't throw these procedurally generated like systems away, because I think they are technically super impressive.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, and also a shame. I'm just gonna hard pivot here onto what I did, because I have nothing else to follow up with Watch Dogs.
Great segue.
Yeah, it's perfect. I know. That's why you let me host.
I mean, hey, you're being honest.
Anytime.
You're not trying to.
Anytime
force a
I don't
really
have
bad
to host,
pun.
we're gonna have a good show.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been saying that all along, to be perfectly
Oh, we know. I've been hearing it in every friggin' team meeting we have. It's just, Mitch still doing anything.
Yeah, seriously. Anyway, if you guys remember, part of the Xbox Series launch hype and everything, they announced that with Game Pass, they're going to be merging in the EA Access, I believe it's called, which is EA's version of EA Play. I thought that was like their live show or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember.
EA All Access?
Something like that.
Pretty sure it's EA Play, because I was looking into this because I was wondering, why can't I play these games yet on my PC? Turns out it launches as part of PC Game Pass in December.
Yeah.
It is EA Play.
Anyway, so I went looking through those games on my Xbox One, and I decided to boot up an old game that I remember passing by a lot in the Jumbo Video and the Blockbuster, called Black. This was probably like one of the best looking games on the PS2 and original Xbox. And it's, I mean, not a lot of things from back then hold up necessarily, but it's pretty it's pretty much your typical first person shooter military like game. It seems. I've only played the first level, and I had so much fun. I got inspired to create this nice fast forward graphic all in Adobe Premiere all by myself, as I learned how to do that, and skip a good 20 minutes of cutscene that was really not that interesting. But gameplay wise, I found it really weird. You can't, games back then, I guess you couldn't change the stick sensitivity. And I found
I think some games you could, but it had to be baked into the system settings or the game settings.
Yeah, maybe back then. I don't know. It's looking at it now, it's like definitely very generic. They had some interesting things. This game specifically, they went on the it's a graphical powerhouse cell.
I love the UI of it, I gotta say.
Yeah, it does look really cool, stretching in and out like that. That was me there trying to find the sensitivity settings. And it specifically popped up and said to open the door, shoot it with your shotgun or something like that. And so that's what I did there. But
you mean the doors don't have handles or knobs?
You use your shotgun to open the door.
It's odd that more shooters don't do that, actually. Now that I think about it.
I mean, it's just, it adds to the realism, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, but realism.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's like your typical, shooter with like not very good AI. But this is
just like Killzone Shadowfall.
Pretty much. This footage is the first level that we're showing here. And I'm not necessarily inspired to go on, but I'm glad I picked up the controller. Oddly enough, with my Series X controller that I got, can you even call it that? Because it's technically a Series S.
Any moment that you guys have, you bring up the fact that you have all these Series X controllers. You have to rub it in my face that I don't have anything yet.
This was the first thing I played on the new Xbox wireless controller.
I just remembered it has USB-C. That's neat.
Yeah, USB-C is fairly.
Except it still uses AA batteries, which is wrong. It should just be goddamn rechargeable at this point.
It actually,
we're not getting into this again.
I'm using a rechargeable play and charge kit battery from my Xbox in there that I can charge with my USB-C.
Oh yeah, because that looks real appealing.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Get the one that's made for these controllers.
Yeah,
but then that takes that's what that $80 controller and makes it $110 controller.
I've also got these nice Duracell rechargeables because I guess you can't get the Eneloop that everybody in the States talks about. But yeah, that's what I do. Yeah,
all of that sounds terrible. Just give me a built-in rechargeable battery.
Sure,
for the same price as the other controllers.
Or you could buy at Costco just AA batteries and just replace them.
Toss them right into the landfill.
Yeah, because that's good for the environment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
sure. Anyway,
I got nothing to say to that.
Mitch, what is Fuser?
Game of the year material.
Holy shit! Those are big fucking words.
So I was on the fence about this game for a very long time. This is a new rhythm game from Harmonix, the makers of Rock Band and Amplitude, and oh my god! So I watched the 6180 crew as well as Zombie Kills. If you're not following either of them on Twitch, go do so. I don't have the links right now. I feel bad, but honestly, just watching them play it and the fun they had with it just sold me on it. I had to have it. I took advantage of yet another PC Optimum offer. I don't know how many times I'm going to drop that in this episode, where if you bought a $50 PSN gift card, you would get $7.50 worth of points.
At this point, can you influence them to sponsor us?
I forget.
You're dropping them. Send them the clip of me licking the Xbox. That'll convince them.
Yeah, because that'll sell it.
Yeah.
We just send that to all the people we want to have.
So I had this PSN credit that I was planning on using on something, and I was going to wait for next gen. And then I saw this game. I'm like, no, I have to have this now. I need it now. So I spent far too much time than I'd like to admit playing this last night, and then again today because, again, lest we forget Remembrance Day, honor your veterans. I had the day off because of the employer that I work for, so I played all day.
Great,
and it's so good.
What are the trophies like?
There's some social trophies, which is a bit of a drag, but we could probably cheese them if we got a group together. The rest is more so just like unlock all the cosmetics, unlock all the songs, that kind of thing. Complete all of the campaign levels. Get 5 stars on all of the campaign levels, which will be challenging, but I've gotten 5 stars in a handful of them, and you sort of get a feel and a rhythm for the songs you want to use. So essentially what you have 4 slots that you basically drop. So by default, each song has up to 4 tracks, usually a drum track, bass track, guitar or lead instrument track, and a vocal track. Not all songs do, but most of them fall into that category. You just use the face buttons on the controller to decide what slot it's going to go in. You want to time it that it drops either on like a downbeat, so you have to have rhythm to play this game. It is a rhythm game. Or on a pickup, which is sort of like for each individual track, there's certain points in the song where it's going to pick up the next sort of segment of it. So like for All Star, for example, there's a pickup where it gets into the whistling part of the vocals. So that kind of idea, right?
And now everyone's part in the middle of All Star where the people come out on stage and say, fuck this COVID shit.
No, but they should. And also this game is not a very good example because no one's wearing face masks. But either way, it's so much fun. I even jumped into like some quick play. There's a cooperative freestyle mode where you like cycle through 4 players and you pick up where the last player ended off, and you have to like bring your crate of tracks in and mix it with the ones they had already put down. And it's so creative for someone who loves rhythm games the way I do. This game it scratches every itch I've ever wanted a rhythm game to scratch. I am disappointed that it's a full price title. I feel like this would have been a great game to release sort of at a lesser. I can see the effort they put into it. The game is absolutely worth full price, but at the same time, with the following a more, I don't want to say antiquated, but a more aged model in terms of the DLC of charging per track, it may have benefited them to lower the barrier to entry and have that recurring model of DLC be the way that they keep people in, or you launch it as a game as a service where you have a library available to you for, let's say, a monthly fee, which would have been good, similar to what Guitar Hero Live tried to do. But I'm in love with this game, and it is absolutely one of my games of this year.
Are Baby Metal songs available?
Not yet.
But
DLC is coming, but maybe not for Baby Metal specifically. But Killing in the Name is in there, which I love that song. And that's all you need, because you drop any of those tracks into any song, and it ramps it up to 11.
Hell yeah.
It's been a real long time since I played a Harmonix title. I'm not opposed to trying this out at some point, but I think I'll have to save this for the Christmas vacation period.
It also has Old Town Road and Party Rock Anthem, and who doesn't love Old Town Road?
Those are all great songs. I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to be dismissive of this or anything, but
no, like you've got Fatboy Slim in there, you've got Don't Fear the Reaper, you've got Post Malone, Lizzo. Like, it spans everything, and I shelled out from the VIP edition that came with 25 DLC tracks, and yeah, it's a good time. It's so good.
That sounds fun. I
can't wait to see how it plays on the PS5 with those load times. They'll be gone. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah. Imagine just jumping right into a song. That'd be amazing. Anyway. Yeah, with that, I guess we're going to move on to some news. How's that sound? That's the official news music as played by Mr. Mitch George. All right, so number one on the docket here.
Happened.
It happened. Happy and 7-Day Alex.
Shipped? What?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
No, keep dreaming on that one.
Happy and
Canada Post all night.
That's another fever dream that no one thought was going to actually happen.
Yeah. Happy and 7-Day Alex. Yeah. So they announced the what is it? Legendary
Edition.
Legendary Edition, which is just it's Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 all in one, and it sounds like they're gonna enhance the first one somehow and make it a little more modern, I guess.
Didn't they say all of them?
Those were the rumors. Those
graphically enhanced.
None of that was really mentioned here.
I was listening to the Bombcast earlier today, and they said something along the lines that there might be something like that, like a gameplay enhancement. Like I don't mean like enhancement as they're getting rid of the Mako or anything like that, but something along the lines of maybe to make it feel a little more modern. I don't know. Anyway,
the rumors were that it was delayed from its initial launch window because they wanted to modernize some of the systems in the original Mass Effect. And the other thing that came out of this too was that they did say that they are developing the future of the Mass Effect franchise. So something else is coming.
They dropped because this is I can't remember. It's Casey
Hudson.
Casey Hudson. Yeah. He posted a blog post on the BioWare.com or the BioWare
blog.bioware.com.
Yes, and announcing this is EA and BioWare and everything associated with EA has just a very fucked way of deciding to announce them, because this isn't really like show this like I just don't understand why this is just
I feel like
this was announced in a blog post.
I feel like, well, first off, we've known already that they are working on something Mass Effect related that is I'm not even
talking about the next game. I'm talking about the Legendary Edition. Why didn't they
want to know why you didn't see it, Alex? You want to know why you didn't see it? So they said spring 2021. If this game was going to be ready for spring 2021, they would have shown it off. So guess what?
Yeah.
It's getting delayed.
Yeah.
100%. This will not see the light of day until at least
I bet November next year.
September at the earliest is what I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling. I'm really excited that it exists, or at least not even the fact that it exists, the fact that they finally just said that it exists, because this has been kind of a long running rumor for a very long time.
This was rumored by Jeff Grubb back when he was rumoredly revealing this and the Hot Pursuit remaster. So as soon as the first was announced, it was only a matter of time before this domino fell as well.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to get to replay these games. It's been a couple of years since I am too. Have played any of them.
I will play these for the first time when this game drops.
Wonderful.
So
I cannot wait.
as previously mentioned, I have not played Mass Effect 1 before, so I'm very intrigued to try that one out.
The only one I've played.
Earlier, in this discussion, we talked about how apparently they're going to be remastering the games and kind of reworking their gameplay somewhat. I really do hope that means that they're not going to dumb down the games any more than necessary. I really hope that just means streamlining it so that they're more easily accessible and not so that they're just more simple. And in particular, I'd be interested to see if they actually introduce more gameplay options into Mass Effect 2 and 3 that actually allow you to kind of further customize those experiences and make them even more complex. But I am not crossing my fingers just yet.
I'm not expecting too much out of this other than from at least the way.
Do you think they'll let you carry your saves forward?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, let's say you played the originals on the Xbox. You've only played, like, let's say the first one. Will they bring that forward to populate that novel, that animated novel thing that was in the original trilogy? Or
I would highly doubt that.
So what's going to happen is you're going to have to play through this Legendary Edition to get to whatever they plan on doing with Mass Effect next after the fact. So.
This should have came out before Andromeda. I don't know why Andromeda came out first.
I'm really interested to see specifically, like, we can move on from this because there's not too much more to talk about this. But I'm really interested, just kind of as a closing note, I'm really interested to see with the next game, is it going to be a sequel to Andromeda or is it going to be another story in the Mass Effect universe? I really hope it's the latter. I really don't want to see a sequel to Andromeda. I feel like I really like the Milky Way Mass Effect universe, and I hope that they continue to tell that because there's so many interesting stories that you could tell before the Reaper War that could be really great games.
I remember back when the original trilogy was wrapping up, a lot of people were talking about how, oh man, it'd be really cool if you could go back to the beginning of the human civilization, meeting up with all the other first contact, meeting up with all the other races in the galaxy. I think that there's definitely a lot of potential there, and it would make for a nice contrast where Mass Effect Andromeda was way in the future and this would be way in the past.
Yeah. There's a lot that they could do because this universe is so vast that I'm very hopeful that this will be one of a few steps, including the next Dragon Age, of BioWare kind of returning to their roots after the game that we will not say the name of.
But that we already... sorry. I thought you meant Andromeda, but you meant the other game that we should...
No, the other one that is somehow worse than Andromeda.
Can I share something incredibly brain breaking with the crew?
Sure.
So Tina Amini, editor-in-chief at IGN, tweeted out that she started Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PS4 and wanted to restart the experience on the Xbox Series X. However, Ubisoft released their, Ubisoft Connect or the future of the Ubisoft Club thing is, where things just move around. And so she booted up the game for the first time on her shiny new box, and it picked up right where it left off because we live in the goddamn future.
That's kind of incredible.
That's brain breaking. Cross-platform, cross-save just works.
Yeah.
No one has any excuses to not make this work now.
Ubisoft, for all of their faults, they do really cool things like this sometimes.
Sorry for interrupting. Please continue, AJ.
Well, we can move on from Mass Effect.
Yeah, let's move on to number 2 on our list. Take-Two to buy British video game developer Codemasters for $973 million.
This comes when we need him.
Yeah, he likes money.
This is very much
he likes Codemasters.
Put on back when Nathan was still going to be on this episode, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. There isn't too much to speak about here, but it sounds so. Codemasters, they do almost all the driving games that aren't Forza or Gran Turismo these days. it sounds like they're going to be bought by Take-Two. I don't know if that's necessarily the best place they could be going. We've heard lots from over the years even about Take-Two's management in regards to crunch and whatnot with the Rockstar stuff, and heck, even coming out of the fact that they haven't broken ties with Randy Pitchford over at Gearbox yet.
It says a lot.
It says it. They like money, and they clearly have money. That's fine.
So, I mean, for those not familiar, Codemasters is the studio behind the franchises like Dirt and F1.
Yes.
So with Dirt 5 just releasing now on, I don't know what you want to call it, launch window, launch day. I don't know. This generation's weird, man. But I know Nathan played it on the PS4 and he really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to hear what he says about the PS5 game. Hopefully this change to Codemasters doesn't impact the quality and polish of the games that they do release, and also doesn't force them into some of the rabbit holes we've seen other Take-Two studios fall.
Yeah.
2K
Absolutely.
being involved in anything is a little nerve-wracking, but let's hope.
I mean, also, we've got a Codemasters game coming up later in the show and one of the deals of the day, so we'll talk about that.
Take-Two publishes the bad wrestling games, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay.
Speaking of which, we didn't put it in the doc because Nathan wasn't here, but AEW just announced a new wrestling game with Ukes, the developer of the original
that they did
WWE games, including the the director of WWF No Mercy, which for a long time has held a lot of people by the heartstrings, will be involved in that game in some way. So
great.
AEW making moves, man. They announced that. They announced a mobile casino game or something, as well as like a mobile GM game. Cool.
Speaking of confusion here, Square Enix has reported that 6.5 billion yen loss for HD games driven by Marvel Avengers, something like that. That works out to about 80 million. It works out to about $80 million.
This game was
I'm sorry,
a fucking failure.
Mitch. I'm sorry that I didn't organize more game nights on my Twitch channel where we played this. I should have done so. I alone had the potential to turn this around, but I failed you, and I apologize for that.
The game is so good, and it could have been a thing.
It's okay.
It had the makings of a great game. It just
I really love
fair.
flying around as Iron Man and switching between his lasers and rockets and repulsor beams. I thought that was really fun. I also like punching people as Kamala Khan. That was pretty good. There were some cutscenes in the game that were pretty nice.
I succeed so bad.
I pressed some buttons and the character on screen did some things. It's a video game.
Alex, will you please play with me on the PS5?
I will install it on the PS5 when there's something to play.
I hear it loads even better on the Xbox.
Mitch,
only by a couple of seconds. Honestly, like when we're getting these side-by-side comparisons of how things load on the Xbox versus the PS5, everything's really fast. So the difference between a minute and 6 seconds and a minute and 7 seconds, not the end of the world. Everything is going to be awesome.
Spider-Man.
Listen, you may not be able to go make a sandwich anymore, but those few seconds are enough to go grab a Werther's Original out of your candy dish if you need it.
It's enough to throw a ping pong ball on the top of your Series X.
I wish I had a ping pong ball because I really want to try that.
Listen,
just don't vape near it, please.
About that.
We'll get there.
There goes my weekend.
Mitch, next time that the next big update for Marvel's Avengers comes out, I will gladly play it with you on stream. We will have a great time.
The problem is we need to be like, when these new updates are dropping, the problem is they're dropping these updates. They're only playable if you're like max character level or max power level.
What about the new characters though? Aren't those
the new character stuff will be enough to jump out of?
I was going to say, let's do that. When a new character drops, we'll both play that.
If a new character drops.
They will drop.
This game is definitely gonna go.
Oh my god! To be perfectly fair, Square Enix has historically not necessarily been very understanding
their expectations.
Yeah, they're not very good at setting their expectations for their games, whether it be Lara Croft or the Hitman series. Like,
that's a good point.
They bought Hitman, had who made the new Hitman games? IO. Gave them Hitman back when it didn't perform as well as they expected it to, but like, yeah, so their expectations are probably, and so
and they were
6.5. I don't understand some of their decisions behind this game, because when things hit the fan and they said, okay, we're gonna have to push everything back, they also introduced a 50% off cosmetic sale on their store, and those prices were reasonable. I went in and bought 2 costumes that before would have cost me like $30 worth of in-game currency, which is stupid, and got them for half of that. It was currency I only earned in-game. I didn't put any money into it. And I was glad that I bought those suits for, I think it was Hulk and Iron Man.
Yeah.
They ended that. Those were reasonable prices. And they said, here's your last chance to go in and buy more stuff. Just leave. Like, it doesn't make, like, people were happy they reduced those prices and said, well, maybe they should just leave them that way. The community said, just leave them that way. Guess what they didn't do? Fucking leave it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. But
when does this game go free to play? Because it's probably going to happen now.
Never. This is Square. Does Square have any free to play games other than stuff that it was built for?
Is Final Fantasy 14 free to play?
No, maybe.
I don't know. Because
there might be able to Google it.
That's like
play
the
up
only,
to a certain
like,
level.
That's the only. That's the only like sort of online
you have a
game that they have that I can think of.
They've got like Kingdom Hearts mobile games that were free to play, but they're very much gotcha, and I don't want to see them do something like that here where
you
initially charge full price for a game and then make it full of like gotcha stuff, even though it's kind of already there, just not overly egregious.
So for a while, and I knew this because I actually did briefly jump into Final Fantasy 14, you've been able to jump into it and just like experience it for like a extended period of time for free. And basically, they announced back in June that you're going to be able to level your character up to 60 and play through all story content through Heavensward, basically for free as well.
Okay. Honestly, we've got a couple people in the Twitch chat tonight. They're like, we'll play. And now I'm very excited that people might actually play this thing on the PS5.
See, they say that now.
Yeah,
they said that before we bought the damn
snap
game.
their disc in half.
You know what? I might honestly do that on a stream if they continue to do what they're doing to this game, because
you don't have
that
a
is
disc.
My biggest disappointment of 20. Huh?
You don't have a disc for this game. You can't.
I can acquire one.
Yeah, I'll give you mine.
No, I might. Right. I honestly, if there's anyone out here who wants to play with us, I do actually have an extra disc copy of Avengers PS4. So please play with me.
Speaking of poor monetization decisions, following a player outcry, the Apex Legends Battle Pass is getting even easier to complete. This is from PC Gamer, Andy Chalk over there. Go ahead and give that article a click. So I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of different kind of write-ups about this, but where I've seen the most, vitriol getting spewed is the conspiracy theories over on the Apex Legends subreddit.
Cozy paused in his scroll there on just a picture of Prince Charles for some reason.
That wasn't even intentional.
As upset about this as we are. Cozy, you're the Apex guy around here these days. What's happening?
Apex Predator.
The funny thing is that there's this tweet that this guy has where he's comparing the old Season 7 dailies to the new Season 7 dailies that they just updated the game with to make achieving the Battle Pass easier. And like, I'm looking at some of these challenges and I'm like, I actually feel like I could accomplish those pretty easily. But I understand that for the vast majority of players, these old Season 7 dailies and the previous requirements that required to level yourself up on the Battle Pass were a little bit too much. And I think that it is good that they quickly swept in and made the changes to make the things much more agreeable.
Yeah. So, the not to pay too much mention to conspiracy theories, but in the games industry, and we're talking about EA here, there's this idea of no, they want to put prices on these things or timing for the challenges you have to do in the game to such an outrageous level, so that no matter what, as long as they move it back to what to whatever they're going to reap in good favor from the player base. And I can see a timeline where that absolutely is the case. I don't think any one developer is out there going. I don't think any one developer out there is going like, hey, yeah, let's get one over on these Apex jerks out here playing our game for fun.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't know. How dare you have fun playing our video game?
Dare you? I don't think anybody's actually doing that, but
yeah, I don't put any weight in that conspiracy theory IMO.
Yeah. All right. And that's going to do it for the news here. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to read/watch all the things. I'm just going to stop me if you guys want to have a quick chat about something that I have in here, but I'm just going to try and go through this fairly quickly. So the first one that I have here is titled PlayStation 5 won't launch with a web browser. No porn for you. Over at Gaming Bible, Ewan Moore wrote this one up.
The title of the story is No More Porn for You. We all know that you've already had some porn in your life before this.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's somebody who's going to access porn for the first time on their PlayStation 5? There has to be a lot.
Not anymore, yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. A young child absolutely would try that. I remember the first time I got a smartphone. Holy shit. That was amazing.
The Vita was like very well known for...
The original PSP could hold media.
Yeah, like
51.1% of all console traffic to Pornhub in 2019 was from the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no web browser on PlayStation 5 for now. That's that.
I wonder how this might impact, because we've seen, like, if you take your console or your phone or your video or your handheld, whatever, to a hotel and try to connect to their Wi-Fi, you have to do that through some sort of landing screen. I wonder if this means you won't be able to do that on the PS5, because I know that was an issue with the Switch when it launched, and they added that browser in, but only behind the scenes to perform that one action.
Well, most people are not visiting hotels in general nowadays, so I suppose that Sony has some time to figure that out.
I will let you know I stayed at a hotel in September, and it was weird as hell. Please continue.
That could be a firmware update that they add in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, moving on to the next one. So there's been a bad rumor going around, people trying to make it look like Xboxes are catching fire.
Oh my god, this is hilarious.
It's hilarious and so dumb at the same time. So the first article that I have here is the Xbox Series X is not on fire, it's just vaping, from Vice Gaming's Matthew Galt. And then I have internet trolls seem to be faking Xbox Series X problems for memes, from over at The Verge, from Chaim Gartenberg. I apologize for butchering your name there. And then Xbox on Twitter actually had to get out and tweet. Funny. Yeah, actually had to get out and tweet. We can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X.
Who thought, I'm going to look at my Xbox Series X, my brand new thing that I just got. I'm going to vape into it. That's the first thing that they thought.
Yeah.
Also, before I thought about it for more than a second, I'm like, if I vaped, I would have totally done this.
Mm-hmm.
Took a video of it.
We do say this, but anecdotally, I also dropped in here. Adam Sessler tweeted out that he was having issues with his Xbox Series X. It was running very loud. The fan wasn't turning off when when he turned the console off, like when it went into standby, and like in weird intervals, it would ramp up, ramp down. But he said overnight it's kind of resolved itself. So maybe there is some weird quirks for launch, but that's to be expected of new tech. But just
brand new hardware.
Your mileage may vary, but don't expect vape to come out of your goddamn box.
Disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. And very last, real quick. Last thing I want to say here is Phil Spencer wants 1 versus 100 back on Xbox 2, and he is on the case. GameSpot's James O'Connor wrote this one up. Go ahead and give that one a click. Phil Spencer. So 1 versus 100 is a very good Xbox 360 nostalgia point for me. If you've ever played HQ Trivia, it's kind of in the vein of that, but the game show 1 versus 100, and you played it on your Xbox, and it got 100 people in the audience, and one person was chosen at random and got to be a contestant. And me and a few of my friends, would meet up like every showing of it. There were a few shows per week. With Chris Cashman was hosting it. If they can bring something back in this vein where it's like nightly primetime live, let's all game together, kind of like an HQ or something like that, I think that'd be a really cool, interesting thing.
Every time
the original one. Sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead. Mine was more about Phil Spencer versus.
Okay, yeah. So the original 1 versus 100 was published by Microsoft, right? Like it was a Microsoft Game Studio title.
Yes, I believe so. I think.
So based on that, if they were to bring it back, it would also presumably come to PC.
Probably.
Possibly.
All right, I'm good. Go ahead.
They're very prevalent about putting everything that they make on PC.
I would be down for that. Then I would play every time it went live. I want a reason to buy an Xbox, and I still have not seen one.
Well, I mean, you have a very good computer, and
exactly.
Yeah. I'm with Mitch on that. By the way, if they put it on PC, that will definitely increase my chances of playing this. And this is a game that I don't have much attachment or fondness or memories attached to, but yeah.
Oh, wait, Cozy, didn't you buy an Xbox Series X?
Well, I'm saying prior attachment to.
Oh, okay. You'd be like, you can just play it there. You don't need your PC for that.
Yeah.
All I will say is that every time Phil Spencer talks about Xbox and the future that they are planning with Xbox, and just even retrospectively looking back at Xbox, he cements more and more that he is the absolute perfect person to be the head of that company, or like the head of that division of Microsoft. Like, he is so perfect for Xbox. And yes, they're still not perfect yet, but he is perfect for them, and he is continuing to put them on a really, really good track. And goddamn, I love that man. He's just such a great force for Xbox. That
I keep picking up this Xbox controller, and I love it.
Yeah, I feel like Xbox has really cultivated a really great force of people between Aaron Greenberg and Stein, the community manager, and Phil Spencer, of course. I'm really excited to see what the future of Xbox is going to start to look like with these people at the forefront.
I just want to say, Reclusive Dragon 1 in the chat said it would actually 1 versus 100 would be a good Twitch game.
Oh yeah, it feels like it was made for Twitch audience, and so
and it was it came out at the wrong time, basically.
It
was a Twitch phenomenon that predated Twitch.
So hopefully if they do bring it back, they take those philosophies in mind when they bring it.
All right, and with that, let's just move on over to It's Raining Deals. Cozy, you put something in here. What do we got going on?
That's right. PokemonCenter.ca has officially launched. So if you want to get some neat little Pokemon goodies, it's weird because I'm actually right now at www.pokemoncenter.com, but this is where the .ca link redirects you to. In any case, if you've ever wanted
.ca as the locale after the .com, it knows you're in Canada. It's just doing things.
If you want some high quality Pokemon merch, this is the place to go. They actually have a little promotion thing right now where you can get a special delivery Pikachu Pokemon trading card for
I really like that.
are over
Cozy,
$20.
everything in the store is really expensive. I put 2 shirts in my cart and it was going to be $80 with shipping. Convince me that I need to press continue on that.
I mean, inevitably, you're going to catch your next shiny on stream, but you know what would make catching your next shiny on stream even better is if you were wearing a Pokemon shirt when you did that, Mitch.
Crap, he's got a point, guys. I did actually catch a shiny Quagsire yesterday. I was just playing and meeting, not after work.
Anyways, I know
after work.
I just wanted to give a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually, I know, I do agree, by the way, Mitch, that this stuff is expensive, but I've been very, very pleased with some of the stuff I've gotten from
Dude, that Skwovet Christmas sweater, oh my God. Like the Christmas merch they come out with, are you kidding me? They got onesies, which I want. I want to get me and Carmen matching onesies, but it's really expensive.
They should make, the inflatable dinosaurs? They should make like a Feraligatr one of those.
They have a 2-foot tall Mareep plush that is $250.
Hell yeah.
Wow. All right.
You guys done talking about Pokemon?
Yep.
We're talking about video game merch. You like that, Alex?
I do like that quite a bit.
All right. And Mitch, you put something else in here. I don't know if it's actually a good deal.
Yeah, the Codemaster quote unquote masterpiece. Fast and Furious Crossroads is on sale for like 66% off. It's like $20.
Was this the reason why
$26?
Was this the reason why 2K spent as much money as they did because of this?
Yes, they absolutely bought Codemasters because of the Fast and Furious license they have for a single title.
That's what I thought. But
if you wanted to have a funny time playing a not so great licensed game, Fast and Furious Crossroads is
I was seriously convinced that Vin Diesel is going to delay this game so that they can improve on it and make it better, but I guess not.
No, instead he is working on Bloodshot 2.
He's
and his next album.
Vin Diesel's more of a D&D guy than a video game guy, I think.
I thought he was more of like a Latin beats like dance hall guy now, isn't he doing like music stuff?
He
like
put
R&B?
Yeah, well, everybody gets into music at some point. You reach a certain level of fame.
I mean, I do own a bass guitar or 2.
Yeah, so. I've got an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar, and I don't play them. So,
Same.
Yep. All right, and with that, I think that's going to do it. Let's.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Yeah. See you later. Bye. No. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
I just want to play more Fuser.
Tough shit. Let's move on to the topic of the show. How about that? How about we do that instead? Yeah. All right.
Hell yeah.
If we lost, I need more things to do while I'm refreshing Canada Post anyway.
That's true. Tonight on Press YYZ, our topic of the show is a year-by-year look back on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One's whole entire life cycle. So from, I'm guessing, like their proper reveal and announcement until yesterday?
Yeah, basically until pretty much the end
yesterday
of this year.
And tomorrow?
Till this week, till this month.
Yeah, until whenever. Yeah.
By the time this show comes out, it'll be out of date.
Absolutely. So, Cozy, this is kind of your brain baby.
Right.
So, you have a copious amounts of copious or coziest amounts of notes.
Oh, I thought for a second you were going to say I don't know how to say copious, but you brought it around.
No, I brought it around. It hit me like a shit ton of bricks. Let me tell you. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of like go through some of your notes here, and just if you guys have something to say about anything that I say here, just go ahead and I don't know, say something about it. So in 2013, the PlayStation 4 is announced in February in a long, meaty press conference that really emphasizes games. I remember hearing that February and stuff like that, and seeing some of this gameplay stuff, and it was I remember it being fairly exciting. And it's the first time I personally heard of Mark Cerny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
in a major capacity, at least. I went back and I watched a bit of this press conference in preparation for today's episode, and it's really interesting because everybody remembers this press conference very fondly because it was a moment where Sony stepped out of the shadows and very definitively placed its flagpole down and was like, we are a company that is all about gamers. We're not interested in gimmicks or giant enemy crabs or being an all-inclusive entertainment console. We are here to deliver great games. The actual press conference itself, though, has a lot of periods of time where it just kind of drags on, and it suits talking in front of stock images on giant jumping screens. Like make no mistake, it is overall an excellent press conference, but it is very different in style from the Sony press conferences that we have today, which are just boom, 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 game, 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 game.
I feel like during this whole press conference, I thought that there was a little bit of disappointment with just the fact that they didn't show the box during it. They only showed the DualShock 4. And like now people look back on it fondly of like the first time we kind of like Sony talked about the PlayStation 4. But I remember at the time, and maybe this was just my own personal feelings of being like, they didn't show the box. What was the point of it? And I to be fair, though, it's hard to sort of put myself back in that headspace because, social media was a completely different landscape and I wasn't really on it in the same capacity that I am now.
Also, you were like 6?
7, actually.
Oh, wait,
actually?
Shit.
No,
Really?
I was 14.
Oh,
thank God.
See, I knew you guys would believe that, too.
Like, 7. I think I was in university when this came out. Like,
oh, man. I was 23.
I was in high school.
No one likes you.
I was almost 23.
Okay, so we still kind of like you.
Yeah, just a little bit. So then later on in the year, the Xbox One is announced in May in a confusing press conference that focuses more on entertainment than games. This is the infamous TV montage, I believe.
This is the pre-Phil Spencer era Microsoft.
Yep.
Yes, Don Matrick.
Yeah, fucking
that's not Don
Matrick
Matrick on screen.
Yep.
Yeah,
that is
Phil Spencer was still a part
coffee
of Xbox.
advertisement.
Phil Spencer,
yes, he was. He wasn't the head of
screen
yet.
Yeah. He was high up, but he wasn't where he is now. But there's a few very specific moments that was this the conference where they talked about the DRM and always online, or was that the next?
No, so that stuff came out I think at it didn't happen during the conference. It was like follow-up questions like privately after the conference that got out.
Okay, so
I think it was also rumored before the conference.
So it was still around
spec sheets that leaked or something like that.
So it was still around this event though.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing though. The
price was wrong apparently.
Yeah, the price was definitely wrong. They also announced the Connect portion of this, I believe.
If the Xbox logos were not
this with the goddamn prices right.
I was going to say, if the Xbox logos were not like on these giant screens in the middle of this press conference, I would struggle to tell you what this was for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember when they announced the Halo show with Steven Spielberg involved, and we haven't seen anything from that since?
Except they just recast Cortana to her proper voice. That didn't make it in the news, but that's good. Finally.
Either way, this whole event was a complete shit show, and it was the moment that the Xbox One failed.
Yeah. Listen. I have a cable box, and I have an Xbox One, and that for years, that is exactly how I watch TV, through my Xbox One. It was a feature I actually liked. I enjoyed the snap feature of it, being able to have like a YouTube video in the corner while I'm playing a game or something like that. Something that I can do now because I've got a computer that uses 2 monitors. It was a feature that I liked and took advantage of, as well as when you may remember, Mitch, when we were playing Warzone many years ago at this point, me yelling at the screen to record that because yes, my Kinect is still hooked up. I still use
You're the only one, actually.
Yeah, I'm the last one. I'm the last Xbox One.
That's why they named it what they did.
Yeah,
I get it now.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad I could make you have that.
There's only one person left in the world still using a goddamn Kinect.
Thing I want to talk about, just because.
Yeah.
So the Xbox 360, and the reason they called it the Xbox 360 was because if you put an Xbox 2 on the shelf next to a PlayStation 3, people are automatically going to have a bias against it. It makes sense. So they had to go outside the box, no pun intended. And so they called it the Xbox 360. You know, it was a great name. Honestly, I think the Xbox 360 is a fantastic name.
It sold well.
Then they
not due to the name, but more so due to the features. But
then they
immediately
pulled a Wii U.
Yeah.
Yep.
They pulled a Wii U. They went backwards. They pulled a Wii U.
Yeah.
Called it the Xbox All-in-One Entertainment System. So Xbox One, which briefly got abbreviated to Xbone.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and nobody.
And the Xbox SAD.
Oh,
yeah.
we'll get to that.
We're a few years off from that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next point.
Such a dumb name, and there's so many things built on from this event that just resulted in, obviously, it just made the Xbox One destined to fail.
So I just want to read through these next 4 points here really quick, because it was kind of a shit show all the way down to the end here. Fear and anger is raised over the fact that the Xbox One will force players to log in online once every 24 hours to play games offline and make it very difficult to share used games. At E3, the draconianism of Xbox One's DRM policies are put on full display when PlayStation makes it clear it won't be doing the same in a tongue-in-cheek video. Friend of the show, Adam Boyes, was in that video. Yeah, Microsoft.
I am privileged enough to have heard how that video came to be.
Ooh.
Oh my god! Ooh. I understand why the tongue-in-cheek tweet that Xbox put out about the horizontal versus vertical orientation of the Xbox Series X was taken down, because the hoops you have to jump through at these big companies. My god.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to say another thing, because I remember this time very, very vividly, because I was so in the Xbox ecosystem, because I was so diehard Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That
you were?
I was. I loved the Xbox. I was. Well, I'm back in it now, but for many years, I was like, I'm done with Xbox because of this shit. One of the fucking biggest things that came out of I can't remember if it was the first showcase or if it was E3, was when people were asking Don Matrick, that fucking, never mind, that guy, that dude,
that man
that has since sunk like 3 companies.
Yeah. When people were asking him, hey, what happens if, you just don't have a reliable internet connection? And his response to that was, well, if you or you want to be able to buy used games. And his response to that was, if you want to be able to buy used games or you don't have an internet connection, we have a product for you. It's called the Xbox 360. That
was bad.
That level of fucking
hubris,
hubris and fucking just condescension was another thing that just was a nail in the coffin to why the Xbox One just failed as hard as it did. And holy fuck, sorry, there's just so many moments, specifically from the first year of the building up to the release of the Xbox One, that really stand out, that were the nails in the coffin that led to Microsoft having to play catch up from the very beginning. And it's kind of in one of the things I think is really fascinating, at least from the last couple of generations, is whoever is in the lead has this huge amount of hubris. Like Sony did it with the PS2 to PS3. Fucking Nintendo did it with did it with the Wii to the Wii U. And then Xbox did it with the 360 to the Xbox One. And it just feels like this continuous, this pattern that I just find really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got a finer line to that, though, going into this generation. I feel like both companies have learned, and yes, they're still making mistakes when it comes to either game releases or, you know, features in the box day one. Like, there's some misses, of course, because it's new tech. But by and large, I don't see them making the same. Like, we thought for months, oh my God, why isn't Sony showing anything? Why isn't Sony showing anything? There must be something wrong. They're not showing anything. They didn't have to. They'd already sold all the boxes. And now we're seeing that they're great. And there are great games available for both systems. So just enjoy where you play. There's no need for console.
I think with this, especially because all three system manufacturers are doing completely different things, they're hardly really competing with each other anymore in like a traditional sense. I think that has a lot to do with why there is.
That was the only way Xbox is going to save themselves this time around, is to like look for what isn't being done.
At the beginning of this console generation that we're talking about right now, what definitely happened is both Nintendo and Microsoft felt like they needed to fight the previous console generation's wars. So in the case of Nintendo, they figured, we can just replicate what we did with the Wii, with the Wii U, and obviously that didn't work out. And with Microsoft, as we all know, Microsoft got up high on that sweet Kinect action, and then based on that, it was like, we need to kind of like follow up on this and just double down on the connectness and entertainmentness of our Xbox consoles, and that led to, of course, a lot of the early confusion in its case. Whereas Sony was the only one, just quickly, like Sony was the only one that right off the gate was like, this console generation needs to be fought a different way. We can't fight the same war twice. We have to redefine what this generation is about.
Yeah, they fought it with games, and by and large, it was successful for them in the PS4 generation, right?
Absolutely. So then I remember when this happened specifically, Microsoft pulls a 180 in June and reverses its always online and game sharing policies. I remember because this was the year that I went to the E3 that one time and went to like the EA press conference and everything, and I left that feeling inspired to pre-order a PS4, but not an Xbox One until they sorted their shit out. And then Patrick Klepek, who was at Giant Bomb at the time, now over at Vice Gaming, he was the one who actually broke the news almost a day before it was set to be announced. He got the big scoop on it. He put the story out there on Giant Bomb, and it spread like wildfire, and I immediately pre-ordered an Xbox One as kind of a reward, and then the next day they came out and said that they were going to reverse those awful policies. And then both consoles eventually released in November of 2013. And the PS4 proved to be more successful because even up to like 3 years ago at this point, people were still saying things like, you always have to be online for that. I don't like that. With regards to the Xbox One. So the Xbox was, it had scarred it very bad, those original policies.
I like we're in 20 minutes into the show and we're just getting to the launch of the PS4 Xbox One.
I mean, it is true that we've talked a lot about the first year of both consoles, but I mean, this first year is incredibly important to understanding both consoles' overall narratives. There's a lot that changes.
I agree
ahead, but that so much of what changes is specifically in response to what happens in 2013. Once we start getting into like 2017, 2018, 2019, the changes are a lot more incremental.
Yeah, and I mean that the big thing that really did spark everything at launch, and this is something, thank you Clertle, who's in our Twitch chat, the PS4 was cheaper. The Xbox bundled the Kinect in every box, and that was a mistake, and that put Sony out to a lead that they have not yet relinquished. I can't speak, I'm tired.
Absolutely. Anyway, moving on to 2014, in January, Sony announced PlayStation Now, which is oddly enough, a cloud-based gaming service
Wow, so ahead of the times.
They were kind of ahead of the time, not further ahead than On Live, if you remember that. But that never caught on. Neither did PlayStation.
Oh, no, this wasn't
now.
On Live. This was Gaikai, right? That they acquired.
This was Gaikai.
The PlayStation now.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, they acquired Gaikai for that.
Yeah.
So then later on, Sony revealed Project Morpheus, which is what became the VR PlayStation VR headset. In the same month, Microsoft announced that it will be finally releasing an Xbox One not bundled with Kinect. So they really backpedaled on that one. Timed exclusives started to become a weird thing. That's where the
one big example
was that when we got Tomb Raider?
Yes, that's the
Rise
one
of the
big
Tomb
example
Raider,
where Microsoft made a big stink about how Rise of the Tomb Raider was going to be exclusive to the Xbox One. It's no longer coming anywhere else. But then, lo and behold, a little while later, it comes to the PlayStation 4, and that basically becomes a big trend in this console generation of a game will appear on a console for a limited period of time, and then eventually, after much ado, it will make its way everywhere else.
Yeah, which was strange at the time because we'd seen timed exclusives before.
Yeah.
It was whatever. Yeah. But this is the first time we'd seen it with a sequel.
Yeah, it was a sequel that had come out on a previous generation, and on the original definitive edition had come out on both consoles, and this was Microsoft saying, no, Sony can't have the next one until a year later. So
yeah,
we're still seeing that now. Godfall was just announced to be 6 months exclusive to the PS5. Avengers has exclusive content. I have to find a way to talk about Avengers any chance I get.
The Ghostwire Tokyo.
Which I still think are going to come to PC Game Pass day one.
I can see.
I mean, that would make sense, but that's speculation for another time.
Absolutely.
Oh, speculation for another year. We're going to get to in 25 minutes.
Yeah. Anyway, Microsoft in September bought Mojang, the developer of Minecraft, for $2.5 billion, which was
one of the
best decisions they could have made at that point.
Yeah.
I think Phil Spencer was in charge at that point, right? I think so. Or at least
I think this actually came from this was Microsoft announcing the acquisition. It wasn't Xbox. Okay. So even if he was in charge, it was Microsoft proper. So Satya Nadella seeing the value in Mojang and the product and the benefits for education and the merchandising and all that.
Yeah, this one kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's interesting because they probably were not thinking of it in this capacity at the moment, but in retrospect, this kind of would portend all of the acquisitions that Microsoft would come to make years later.
That was exactly the point I was going to make.
Yeah, it was also their first dabbling in cross-platform or multi-platform releases, which we've seen now from a few of their originally exclusive titles or Microsoft-published titles going elsewhere, not staying just on the box. Which I think as we get into this new generation of machines, Microsoft's approach isn't to sell you the machine, it's to sell you the services.
Yes. And then in the fall of 2014... Why is that guy
missing a face? I'm sorry, Cozy brought up something with someone missing a face.
We're getting there, Mitch. We're getting there, Mitch. I'm
scared.
In the fall of 2014, it kind of became known as the year of the season of broken video games. Master Chief Collection was released.
Let's talk about that.
Assassin's Creed Unity, which is what you're seeing on screen right now. Yeah, that it was there. Developers were rushing their games out the door to try and meet deadlines, and learning the hard way about the consequences of doing that.
I could go on and on and on about why the Master Chief Collection, being as broken as it was at launch, was another one of those fucking things that Microsoft did that just completely screwed over the entire generation for them. But by and large, it along with all of the decisions that they basically made throughout 2013, this is one of, if not the biggest mistakes that they made from the Xbox One generation that they're still trying to fix now.
Yeah. At least it's out on PC now.
Yes.
So
and
they're taking their time releasing it piecemeal to make sure that it all works together. And which is nice.
What was
also, we forgot to mention Halo 4 is going to drop next week.
Very excited.
Good.
About that. That'll be fun. But again,
anyway, Cozy.
Well, I was just going to say, what was unfortunate about this, right, is that it felt like there were two different fall seasons in a row where neither the PlayStation 4 nor the Xbox One were getting an incredible slate of holiday releases. You had good games like Resogun, for example, at the PlayStation 4's launch. And obviously, in the year between these two different periods of time, you had plenty of good games, first and third party, that released for both consoles. But it felt like it took a long time for this sort of console generation to get going. It felt like it took a long period of time for, be it online centric or non-online centric experiences to arrive on both the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 in really good shape, or simply arrive at all.
Yeah. Anyway, 2015. That year, PlayStation 4 would hit over 30 million consoles sold. And then, let's see, I'm reading your notes here. Sony, showed off The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII remake, probably just the logo at that point. Shenmue 3.
There was way more of Final Fantasy VII remake at the E3 in question.
In 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, wasn't it like the entire like first cutscene of the game?
Yeah,
like,
I thought the initial announcement was literally just a logo of "This is coming."
No, so what I'm remembering specifically is they showed that what they showed was, hey, Final Fantasy VII is coming, and it's just the HD remaster, but that was not what anybody wanted. And then like a next year or two later, they then showed something. I don't remember. Maybe, I don't know. They did something.
No, they showed off a trailer. I mean, it was entirely pre-rendered and all that, but they did show off an actual trailer for Final Fantasy VII remake at E3.
Yeah,
and
let me see when it was actually announced.
Time is a flat circle.
And I just
it was announced in 2015.
Yeah, and I think this really kind of underscores how at this point in the console's life cycle, Sony is really beginning to kind of put all of its pots on all of its burners and really beginning to get stuff ready. It's still a little ways out, but it's clear that this next console generation, or at the time, this current console generation, is going to yield some real cool stuff real soon.
Yeah. Let's see. So they also announced Shenmue 3, Dreams, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
They had already announced Dreams at this point. Dreams was announced during
that's true.
Unveiling of the PS4.
That's true. It was they finally, I think they finally revealed it or something like that.
Fair enough.
It had been previously teased a few times beforehand, and this is like the final unveiling. Yeah.
And then over at Microsoft, Phil Spencer announced backwards compatibility, which was the first real showing that they were looking to go a different direction. Backwards compatibility, in my opinion, is kind of a big deal. Yes, old game is old, but sometimes it's nice to go back, right? The fact that, go ahead.
I think backwards compatibility is really important in preserving this art form, because this has been a long running thing with video games, is that they, for up until very recently, it's been like haven't been preserved in the ways that film has been, or music, or like any other form of, or books, or any other form of art. And so with a huge company like Microsoft taking a stance of saying we are going to preserve these games indefinitely, I think was huge. Also, just the technical feat that backwards compatibility on the Xbox One was, the fact that the Xbox One is emulating an original Xbox or an Xbox 360 is a technical feat that clearly is so daunting, and not like, Sony must not believe it's worth the effort to do it, because if it was easy, they would have done it, and clearly it isn't.
It definitely won't be for the PS3, that's for sure.
Yes.
Well, still, that's how architecture continues to screw them to this day.
I wonder how long. Like, I don't know entirely how it works. Mitch, you're more versed in that than I am. But can computers eventually get powerful enough that it won't matter how crappy the architecture of the cell processor was?
Presumably. And I mean, there are working PS3 emulators, but it does require a lot of horsepower to get them running. Because you're taking what is an architecture that so a lot of these machines either run on things that are much less powerful or are incredibly similar to what you're running it on. So emulating them isn't as big of a deal because you're using the same chipset. As soon as you get into something different, you basically have to emulate everything the machine does, not just emulate like the OS, for example, or emulate whatever the base machine is, like the virtual machine that has to run the game inside the system. So there's a lot that could go in. There's a lot that would need to be done to get that working. I still have faith that it will happen eventually. But it is not an easy task. And I think Sony's approach to this is just having you rebuy the games again through PlayStation, or subscribing to PlayStation Now, or just using PlayStation Now to emulate the cell architecture in the cloud, which I think makes more sense, honestly, because in the cloud, you can basically just have a bunch of machines set up that are running cell architecture, right? So
that's fair.
In any case, Phil Spencer announcing backwards compatibility for the Xbox One is a great way for Microsoft basically to sort of set themselves apart from the PlayStation ecosystem in a way that is pro-gamer, but also, something that Sony can't claim to have or be interested in. It's sort of the first of many steps on their road to redemption and to the current console generation that we kind of just arrived at in many ways.
Absolutely. So then... in October, Phil Spencer admits that the Xbox One probably won't beat the PS4 in terms of sales, but they're going to focus on building their consumer base, Game Pass, which wasn't announced at that point, but it was getting there. But then by the end of the year, both Sony and Microsoft had I just accidentally turned my Xbox One on. Fun fact.
Every time you see me grimace and shake my head at my screen, it's because I'm refreshing Canada Post.
Okay, fair enough. But
so bad.
Yeah, Microsoft and Sony slashed their console prices to $349.99. I'm guessing that's US prices. Xbox, turn off. It didn't hear me. Fuck it. Anyway, moving on to 2016 at this point. This is where the first mentions of things like crossplay and stuff are really kind of starting to make their rounds, and Sony doesn't want to play ball with Microsoft. Of course, why would they? They're in the lead, and Microsoft is trying to play catch up there.
But also, this is the first inclination that we got about, well, for one, 2016 was when the PlayStation 4 Pro was released. As well, we got the Xbox One S and the first inclinations of Project Scorpio. Yeah. It was a big year, and really showed how different this generation was compared to previous generations, specifically in the sense that there was like a mid step to the generation for both parties.
It was a really interesting year because you saw two different console manufacturers pursue two very different strategies to try to appeal to their base. Xbox went the route of let's introduce all these various new hardware models, or at least tease them, and PlayStation went the route of we're already doing fine, so we're pretty much just going to focus on games. And specifically, we're going to get Hideo Kojima. We're going to have him make this kooky new first party game called Death Stranding, and we're also going to unveil the new God of War, among others.
Yes. Yeah, I think this was, specifically with with Project Scorpio, this was a really good move by Microsoft in just the sense that the Xbox One was significantly underpowered compared to the PlayStation 4. The fact that it couldn't hit 1080 30 frames on a good day was very much an issue, where PlayStation kind of just kept to their bases, like you said. Xbox needed to give you a reason why you needed to own an Xbox. And so their idea was, let's make the most powerful console.
And then on the PlayStation side, though, they announced God of War, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima, all that fun stuff. And then they also they announced the Pro and the Slim, and then PSVR also releases that year. So
yeah, which
big year for PlayStation, and you can see that Microsoft is turning their ship in the not in the same direction, but in their own right direction. So just as in broad speaking terms of it. Then we move on to 2017, which is when the Nintendo Switch launched. So Nintendo's finally had their answer to the beta test that was the Wii U in terms of portability and whatnot. Then let's just see here.
I would say that, the thing about the Nintendo Switch, like talking about it in relationship to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, is that the introduction of the Switch, in addition to, introducing a little bit of healthy competition in the market, also gives birth to a sort of mini relationship between the Big N and Microsoft, where Microsoft is willing to let a couple of games that are, previously would have solely rested on its platform come over to Nintendo's console, such as Cuphead for a period of time, the Metroidvania games with the really beautiful art style that I'm for some reason blanking on. Ori. And of course, Minecraft, although, obviously that had appeared on other consoles beforehand, but we got Minecraft with crossplay through the relationship between the two. So, yeah.
So then, I'm just skimming this stuff now because we're only halfway there. Let's see.
Living on a prayer?
Yep. You nailed it.
I'm sorry.
In February, Microsoft finally announces Game Pass. It's not Netflix or PlayStation Now. It's just these games are going to be downloaded instead of streamed. We'll see where that gets them. Then that's when then also Microsoft revealed Project Scorpio is the One X, and it'll be coming out in November. Crossplay becomes a super hot button issue, and Rocket League would be like one of the first ones to support it, I guess, between Xbox One and Switch. Sony hit 70 million sales, and PSVR hit 2 million, and Xbox One had about 33 million sales that year. This is also the year that the Battle Royale came into being in terms of popularity. So,
right, which Microsoft briefly kind of tried to capitalize on by trying to scoop up the exclusivity on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but then Fortnite showed up and kind of made that irrelevant.
Yeah, that just sort of ate everybody's lunch at that point. You remember Fortnite? Wow.
Dead game.
Yeah, dead game. Who
it's only the
cares?
largest entertainment property in the world right now. But yeah, dead game.
Yep. Then 2018, both console manufacturers start to hint that we're going to be coming into this current generation that we're in now. They're thinking about the future.
Nobody.
Yeah. Wow. What? There's going to be another Xbox and another PlayStation?
Was this when they called it Project Scarlet?
Perhaps.
It would have been around now.
Yeah. So then Microsoft also acquired Obsidian, In Exile, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, Playground Games, and Compulsion Games. Crossplay continued to be an issue, and Sony puts out a bunch of first-party titles like God of War and I never heard of these guys. Spider-Man? What is this? I don't understand.
Yeah, and again, makes for a real interesting contrast of, on one hand, you have Microsoft. Their way of appeasing gamers is by making a bunch of purchases of studios that people like. Sony's way of pleasing gamers is let's put out these really, really bomb-ass first-party titles from studios that we currently own or are on the verge of owning in the case of Spider-Man.
Yeah, which one way you could spin it is Sony is taking that money and investing it in their games, and Microsoft is taking that money and investing it in the studios and stuff. But, you know, at a certain point, it doesn't entirely matter, I guess. Because then Microsoft announced Project xCloud, which we kind of know where that's ended up at this point. Let's see, 2019, last year. Can you believe that? 2019 was last year.
Really? It feels like it was 16 years ago at this point.
Seriously. Everybody's trying to squeeze the last bits of whatever they can out of the hardware, and it's really starting to show. You know, we won't see it until this year necessarily, but Microsoft continues to buy developers like Double Fine. Sony buys Insomniac.
Best acquisition of the generation.
Yeah, because because they did so well with Spider-Man, right?
I mean, I don't disagree, but it is also like, I remember when that news story went over, I was like, wait, don't they already own them?
Yeah, it was. Well,
I was more saying that in jest.
It was one of those things because what was it? Sunset Overdrive. That. Yeah, you know, I really enjoyed that game, and that was their first foray onto the Xbox, but then it didn't do well enough, and then Sony was just like, hey, make this cool Spider-Man game for us, and then...
They also did a bunch of VR stuff between the two.
Did they? I don't remember that.
And Oculus.
Didn't they do Song of the Deep as well? The Metroidvania game that didn't have a platinum?
Yeah, it was published by GameStop.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I did want to say something here. I saw the Xbox. I saw the value that was there. I saw that they were doing really good stuff when it came to services and what they're giving to their consumers. I told myself if they released 3 games on the system that I needed to play, I'd buy an Xbox. They released Sunset Overdrive. Thought, great. Reason to buy the system. That was it.
Okay. I mean...
For me personally, is the way I play games.
Okay, I would say...
Gears was close.
Gears 5... is one of those games. I think Gears 5 is a game that everyone should play. But so obviously, your point still very valid. There's not enough on the Xbox ecosystem. But I think that this is where, for me, this year or last year, 2019, was the year where Game Pass showed its value, in the sense that when Gears 5 came out in September of that year, I subscribed to Game Pass, and I didn't unsubscribe from it. I've basically been almost subscribed to it every month since. I think there was maybe like a couple months where I fell off. To be fair, they were just giving it away quite a bit, but also it's still like this with Gears 5 specifically. I was like, okay, so now every time that they release a first-party game, I'm going to get Game Pass. I still have Game Pass now, and I'm probably there's no reason for me to unsubscribe from it.
Yeah.
Will someone play Gears 5 with me, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, let's plan these things, because we keep saying it on shows and it doesn't happen.
I will install it tonight on my PC just so that I can commit to it.
I'll get it when I get my
Put it on your
one.
Xbox.
It's not crossplay.
Does it have crossplay?
God damn it.
Negative. I don't think so.
We've got a third in the chat, so I think we're good to go.
Yeah, fair enough. And then some major figures like Sean Layden and Kaz Hirai left Sony.
And this is, I feel like, around the period of time where people really begin to take note that Sony is beginning to seem a lot less kind of personable and personality driven than they were previously, especially during the end of the PlayStation 3 generation. And I think those people leaving kind of exacerbate that observation.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you're seeing more of a return to the Sony of the PS3 days, which we're all a little apprehensive seeing.
Yeah. I'm not to, I haven't played around with it myself, but like, it seems like the UI of the PS5 has been kind of rushed out the door. That could be COVID, or that could be, some more internal goings on in that similar vein. Who knows?
I'm gonna hold my judgment until I try it for myself.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing too. But
That's the right way to do it, honestly.
absolutely. Then Sony cuts down the price of PlayStation now, probably on the heels of Project X Cloud coming. They got to do something because, hey, we were here before you. What are you doing? And then they also added God of War to it, and among other first-party big games. Some details of the PS5 are revealed, and the Xbox Series X is revealed at the Game Awards. Yeah.
Which came out of left field. You would not expect a company like Microsoft to make an announcement like that at the Game Awards, but
right,
they're playing by the beat of their own drum, and I'm for it. Honestly, I'm loving the way that Microsoft has been marketing this console launch.
You wouldn't expect the design of the console to be fully finalized like a year before it comes out. Like you might expect it 9 to 6 months, and then it's like, no, this is final, this is it. But no, they had it kind of down. They were ready.
Yeah, and this just kind of went to show like what like the ways that Microsoft approached this generation and how they were going to talk about it, and the way Sony was going to do it. Because the first inclination that we
games.
Well, just I meant about the hardware itself, but the first time we ever heard the words PlayStation 5 was from a article from the Washington Post.
Yeah. No, I thought Sony put something out saying, "Hey, this is a thing." I get just a blog post. And saying they'd have more to announce later, something like that.
Okay, maybe that was like the hardware specs that was the first time we heard about that. And it was like Jim Ryan.
Yes, the hardware specs was just a drop in the Washington Post or something like that.
Yeah, which is like, Microsoft.
Or it might have been Wired.
It was Wired. It was Wired. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, like I just thought like it really goes to show just how vastly different each company decided to take talking about their next generation, where Microsoft very much has been, let's just show it. Let's show what we got. Let's put all our cards on the table. Sony has been rather reserved with how they've been talking about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then fast forward, I guess, to this year. Not a lot happened up to this point. The pandemic hit. Made everybody's lives a living hell. Sony closed out.
Game companies started making a lot more money because people were buying more games. But
you had things like Animal Crossing and Doom coming out on the same day. We talked about that in a previous episode. And then because people had to stay at home and whatnot, that definitely inspired all that. But then you had more reasons to just want to stay home because Sony put out The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima.
What a phenomenal swan song for the PS4.
Yeah. Both of those.
Like
absolutely.
That wombo combo of those two games was a really great way to. I mean, it's technically not the send off to the PS4 because Miles Morales is on it, but
Horizon Forbidden West is going to be on it.
But in a way, it feels like the send off because those games came out not exclusively on the PS4, but they were the last ones to be only available on the PS4.
The Last of Us Part 1 was the swan song for the PS3.
Yeah, it yellow lighted my PS3.
Yikes. Yeah. RIP in peace. And then we also cannot overlook the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake finally came out. Oh yeah, that happened. That did happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's just Sony continuing to kill it by putting out games people need to play. And Microsoft killing it by delivering on the services people want to consume. There's two different approaches.
It was, this generation for Sony was pretty much Sony kind of maintaining the course and consistently doing well. And it was for Microsoft very much a redemption arc. And it remains to be seen whether Microsoft will continue to rise in the era of the Xbox Series X or whether or not there are still some more troubles ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We also, with
go ahead.
2020, besides the fact that, the Series X is now out, Microsoft made a huge acquisition that we, have touched on.
sort
They
of
bought
glossed over
Bethesda.
that.
Technically, the transaction is not closed yet, but yes.
But they are in the process of buying Bethesda, which is huge for the future of what the Xbox ecosystem is going to consist of, and what that means for those games potentially on other platforms. And just like that is like Microsoft from the get-go, from when they brought the Xbox into existence, they forced their way in by spending the big dick Microsoft money, and they're continuing to do that even to this day, and that kind of makes me really happy. But
nothing is off the table at this point. Anything could be acquired by Microsoft, and that honestly does kind of scare me a little bit, because when you get into a monopolistic situation or a duopoly or whatever you want to call it, it can sometimes hurt the end product or hurt the consumer, which I would not want to see. So I don't want to see any of these big, like Sony acquires Sega or Microsoft acquires FromSoft or Nintendo acquires everybody somehow. Like the diversity in gaming is what makes gaming so great. So let's try to keep it like certain cases. Yes, it's very cool to talk about these kind of things, but you don't want to see too homogenous an ecosystem moving forward. We like this. The diversity is what makes gaming great.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Any closing thoughts, Cozy, on the whole generation?
I mean, you really do realize when you look back on this past generation, like how much time was spent during the Xbox One's life cycle preparing for the Series S and X. Whereas with the PlayStation 5, it just kind of feels like Sony is sort of continuing to do what they previously did with the PlayStation 4. And certainly there are little changes and decisions that were made along the road to its release where you can be like, oh, okay, they were clearly preparing for it, but not in the way that it feels like Microsoft was.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's going to close out our topic of the show here. And we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, I suppose. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you just heard, be sure to check us out here on Twitch, twitch.tv/PressYYZ.
The one thing to mention on that is we're actually pushing to have our YouTube channel go live soon and push videos there. So if you could, we'd very much appreciate it if you could follow the link in the Twitch chat. Or look up Press YYZ on YouTube. It should be one of the first things that comes up. You know our logo. You know what we look like. You know what these faces look like.
Yeah.
So if you could subscribe and hit the bell and all of that jazz, that would be phenomenal.
On a side note, I updated all the panels underneath our Twitch streams, so you could also find the link to the YouTube channel there. If for some reason you're watching a VOD of this and you can't look inside the chat for whatever reason. Maybe somebody put duct tape on the side of your screen and that's completely hidden.
Yeah.
Those rascals.
Why did you saying duct tapes make me start singing the DuckTales theme song in my head?
Oh, I hate
it. I did not think of that.
Anyway,
all right.
Go ahead and rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts and stuff. Follow us on our Twitter account @PressYYZ. Mitch runs that and will keep us up to date.
Should I?
Where else? Yeah, maybe not. Where else can people find you then?
Me, you can find me all over the internet at Mr. Mitch George, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, the big three, MR Mitch George, anywhere you can find me, or, just, find a way to find my phone number. Call me. I'm lonely.
Oh, okay. I will.
Other than my beautiful wife.
I will give your phone number out on the post show. So stay tuned for that. Cozy, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Alex Casina and on Twitch at twitch.tv/CozyBearLive. I'm going to be jumping into some more Apex tonight. So if you joined up the Press YYZ Apex Club, I'll be sure to let you in.
All right. Cool. And Mr. Ballant,
hello.
How about you?
You can find me on Instagram at blatantlyalex and Twitter blatantly_Alex.
All right. I have been your host for tonight, AJ Fraser. You can find me all over the internet at TimesHero, capital T, capital H. That's Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek, and thank you for playing.